You might have heard me say that in addition to junk removal, I am also a registered nurse. And a lot of people get confused, like, why would I change? Why would I do this as a side hustle instead of like a IV infusion nurse or something else that, other nurses usually do as side hustles. So I'm going to tell you a story about the dreams that I had this morning that kind of give you an insight as to like the stress that we deal with as nurses and why I enjoy doing something that is not nursing related also. So I had three back-to-back dreams while I was sleeping this morning, while I was waking up. And one was I had this patient all night, all day, um, that I completely forgot about, right? So, and then at the end of the shift, I was reviewing this patient's chart, and they were a paraplegic patient with very low blood pressures in like the 70s, 60s, and I did not realize that this patient was a critical patient the whole shift, and I completely forgot that they were there. And they were running a vasopressor, and I was supposed to be titrating the vasopressor based on their blood pressure. So if their blood pressure is in the 60s and 70s, I definitely should have been increasing that dose so that the patient's blood pressure would, increase. Because with low blood pressure, you get poor brain perfusion, you can get brain damage, and you could end up coding and dying pretty much. Now, granted, this was a dream. This is not something that actually happened. So I was reviewing the chart at the end of the shift, was like, oh my goodness, I completely forgot about this patient. I'm going to be reported to the board. This is, I'm getting fired. I'm losing my license. I'm losing my livelihood because of this patient, because I failed this patient. And so while this dream was kind of wrapping up, I ended up having another dream where a patient was coming in through the ambulance bay, and we didn't get a call about them. They just showed up, and the patient was having CPR done, but the CPR was being done at the level of the feet, which any any common bystander could tell you CPR is done on the chest. You got to push on the chest, make sure that blood's flowing through the body, and that's just not how CPR is done. So I get in there and start jumping in there to do CPR because I wanted it to be done right. Start doing CPR, and while I'm doing CPR, this woman wakes up and looks over at me and says, "What are you doing? I'm alive!" And she starts freaking out, and I'm sitting there trying to yell in her ear like, "Ma'am, you were just unconscious. You weren't, you didn't have a pulse, so we had to do CPR." And she was sitting there screaming at me because I was pushing on her chest, and I've never actually had that happen in real life, by the way. Usually, if we're coding a patient, if they survive, they end up in the ICU for a day or two before even actually fully making a recovery and waking up like that to that level. So, um, so that happened, and then I also had a dream that as I was leaving my shift, going back to the patient who I completely neglected all day in my dream. Um, that patient, the doctor came up to me and was like, "Hey, I ordered vasopressors and fluids and all these medication orders, and how come they didn't get any of it?" And I was like, "Well, doc, I was just I just forgot." And he's like, "That's not a good answer. I'm gonna report you to the board." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "No, I knew this was gonna happen. Why? I hate my life." And um, so that dream wrapped up, and then I had another dream that was completely unrelated, but I was ending my shift at the hospital. It's funny how they kind of feed into each other. And so as I was ending my shift, I got in my car and started driving down the road, and the whole front end is just bouncing up and down. Have you guys seen that meme of that airplane that's going down the road, and there's a seagull that flies in front of it, flapping his arms, and like the whole plane just starts like flapping its wings or whatever? That's kind of how my truck felt while I was driving down the road, and I was like, "What's happening here?" So I get out and I look, and there's a complete wheel missing on the driver's side, front side. And so I was like, "Oh my goodness, I gotta pay for a new tire. I gotta do all this stuff. I got junk removal jobs tomorrow, and I'm not gonna be able to use my truck because it's gonna be in the shop." And so I yeah, and then I woke up to my wife saying, "Babe, it's 5:06. You gotta leave in 24 minutes." I was like, "Oh, fine, okay." So that is kind of what nursing is being like. So it's it's a little stressful, it's a little chaotic, and so I enjoy being a junk removal company and starting this junk removal company because the stress and chaos is, a lot lower. There's stress of, like, oh, where's my next job going to come from, and where's my, make sure I don't damage somebody's property or hurt somebody. That's the stress. But until that happens or those things happen, you're not stressing about it all the time. So we do everything we can to be safe in this business and do things properly and try to avoid damage by being thoughtful of how we're doing our jobs. And so that stress is, while it's still kind of there in the background, it's not as prevalent as you working to save somebody's life. That's a big stress to make sure that the people under your care are getting the best health care, and they're not being neglected. You're not forgetting medications. You're not harming patients by doing the wrong things. That stress is real in nursing, and um, we do our best to provide the best care. And so with junk removal, it's just 10 notches below that. Like, your stress is just very manageable, and I enjoy it. It's almost like a reset for my week after I've had a bunch of shifts at the hospital. I can go, I talk to people. I usually enjoy the conversations I have with people and out in the community, helping them, with their trash, and um, it's fun to me. I enjoy it. It doesn't feel like work, actually. So that's why I chose junk removal. Besides it is a low barrier to entry. You don't have to have a lot of experience doing it. I've thought about opening like home health agencies, and I probably will in the future. I'd like to do that. And it's just the licensing requirement and the funding requirement for opening a home health agency is hundreds of thousands of dollars, and months and months and months of holding an office without any income because you're working to get licensed. So I'd like to do that in the future, but I need to have a significant investment to put down into it. And so this is just kind of something I can build without, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 to fund a business that's not making me money. So this is just, I take the jobs and I grow with the demand. So that's why I chose to do junk removal.